Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Soul Tribe. I was thinking this morning, after I put out that first video, it had a lot of pretty powerful content, but it was real and it was true. That's one layer. Now, let's go another layer, starting back whenever I was a little boy. We moved a lot in Oklahoma after my parents divorced, and I went to a daycare called Katie Daycare. And I have a sense of guilt now because I understand that the children today will never know what it was like to grow up in that type of environment. The lady that owned it, Betty Wolford, was a phenomenal woman, amazing, 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 fit, athletic, and she had the faith, that could move mountains, the faith of a mustard seed. Betty wasn't the nicest person in the world. She was the most true and most honest. And I would have rather had that than a nice person. People want to be nice, but that actually gets you in a lot more trouble than just being direct. I used to think that my dad was aggressive in the way that he would communicate with people. And so I was a softer hearted person, so I wouldn't, Dad, why'd you have to be so rough? What I know now is abrasive. It's not abrasive. If you go down to the bare minimum, the basics, when you encounter people, your first thought is, what do they want from me? What are they trying to get from me? What are they trying to tell me, or what kind of energy do they trying to put on me? And it's different with me. Whenever I went to Betty's, it was so diverse. There were so many different people, and now I had her with the truth, and she taught us the Bible. This place is absolutely crazy. When you get there in the morning, you get your breakfast. She had pinball machines, swimming pool, pool table, go-karts, four-wheelers, bicycles, tricycles, tree houses. She had a track on the property, an indoor gymnasium, an indoor swimming pool. Kids were allowed to be kids. Everything comes with a price, though. To go to Betty's, it wasn't really, really expensive, for the cost of childcare for what you were getting. There was value in there. Your child wasn't going to go to a daycare and just sit there like a vegetable or play with toys or whatever. Betty's idea was bring children in, give them access to fun stuff, but they have to understand the Bible. I explained that I'm not really versed in religion, but she tried as hard as she could. If the book wasn't that freaking thick and it didn't have all those little tiny words with very few pictures, I might have picked it up a lot sooner. But she tried. That right there at least gives me a foundation for faith. When you see somebody that believes in something so much, it inspires you. It inspires me. Betty had a hard time adjusting to me. I mean, if you can understand some of the situations I explained in the first video, now I'm being turned loose on the public. And wow, that's a lot. That woman was so strong, but she also had a lady, Miss Lucille, and then she had her daughter, Danielle, and then all the friends that I've made while I was there. You make so many friends, like Duval and Jason Browse. My cousins went there with us, and my brother as well, and of all the whole crew, me and my brother couldn't figure out why we were always in trouble. We were integrating, we were adjusting, we were getting acclimated to how things work, but we're different. Back then, we didn't even talk about that. It's a pretty funny story. I hadn't always been a tribal member. I don't know if many people know that. I didn't become a tribal member until after I got out of the service. But I'll get to that in just a second. You learn about the books of the Bible, and there were punishments whenever you didn't listen, when you were talking, being disruptive. There's the hair on the back of your neck that she would lift up and make you stand up like a chicken. That was needed. When you have a child that doesn't have grounding, doesn't have a foundation of stability, they need the discipline. I can understand from, parents in future or previous generations where they're like, well, I want to make it easier on my kids, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. It makes perfect sense. Make it easier on my kid. Why not? make it easier than what I went through, but that's not helping them. I haven't had a TV in probably 2 decades. I don't have the time to sit down and watch a movie or catch on to a TV series and commit to it every week or however often they come on. There's always something to do outside, helping somebody, going somewhere, doing something. They believed in that too. She wasn't going to let anybody vegetate in front of a video unless you were going to learn something. Later on, she got one of these deals. It wasn't a VHS, but it was a big old, like an album, cased in plastic, but Sounds of Music. What was that one? Mary Poppins. I mean, you got to see all the stuff that kids needed to see, and apparently that's offensive to people nowadays. But these same people have no appreciation or understanding of what it was like in the 80s and in the 90s. Parents made it too easy. There was an adjustment there where both parents went out to the job and the kids were either in a daycare or at home or, at friends' houses running the streets. I think that's where the why started to split. We've always heard that it takes a village to raise a child. It does. It absolutely does. If you saw my first video, you can kind of get an idea that I have a really tight connection with my parents, and I think that every kid should. It's not that you like your parents, it's that you love them, okay? I think it's reciprocal. So whenever you come into life, you're born, your parents take care of you, raise you up to a certain age, you become an adult, and then on the downside, now you take care of them whenever they're getting older on their way out. And I'm not saying that bad things don't happen in families and that there's not confrontation, that there's not tension. To each their own, each different situation calls for different measures, but you have to look at it from a third-party perspective. A lot of times we're too close to the fire to really see what we need to know. When we were kids, we didn't have cell phones and the technology. I think Nintendo had just come out. I mean, we had a Atari, I think 1980. But that wasn't a heavy influence. We wanted to climb trees, we wanted to play hide and go seek and play army and swim in the creek. And I remember one time on Bishop Road that crosses Cache Creek in Lawton, Oklahoma, there were no rails on the bridge. Me, my 6 or 7 of my cousins, we got on our bicycles. There's a big old hill. We come riding down that hill and then just jump off into the creek. Man, it was an adrenaline rush. That was exciting. We had no idea, no concept. Nobody ever thought, well, let's go in there and check out the water, make sure there's nothing under the surface, or let's see how deep it is, make sure it's deep enough. Man, that was living. And now all you see walking around nowadays is people with their head buried in their phone. Well, if you're looking down, how can you see what's in front of you? You have to have a target of some sort. Where are you going? Where are you trying to get to? I think people get confused, like when in love, when they're looking for somebody and they're trying to make that connection. I only say that because I've had 1,000 opportunities and I've crashed at every one of them. So if you've only had a handful of relationships and you're like, I know better, apparently you don't. I clearly have a lot more experience in that department. And what I learned, love like this, just like this. When that person comes in to our life, it's a gift. It's not a coincidence. They're meant to be. There's an opportunity right there. Now, when the Creator or whatever you believe in brings this person into your path, this is how you love. Now, they have an opportunity to stay there as long as they want to. But when it's time for them to move on, they should be able to be replaced and something even better put in their place. The majority of my life Everything that was placed in my hand, I would try to grab a hold of it and hang on to it and keep it and protect it and want to have it. And then it would be ripped away from me. And so going through life, losing all these things, I didn't understand, why can't I have this? Why can't I keep this? Girlfriend, motorcycle, friendship, you know? Because that's not evolving, that's not growing, that's not progressing. If you're insistent on hanging on to the old, you'll never get the new. A lot of times whenever I do couples therapy, I look at what do you have to give to the other person? Or he better have a job, he better not live with his mom, he better not have to pay child support, he better not have a criminal record, he better be good looking, he better be blessed in every area that a man can have. And a lot of the women that I've encountered, I didn't have much of a list. I wasn't specific about what I wanted, but they weren't in the right place either. For instance, I got married 9 or 10 months ago, and for the first time in my life, after I'd received this information, I put it all in. I wanted to love somebody. Here's my opportunity. Finally, I've let go all of the baggage. I don't have anything weighing me down. And commonly, a lot of people say, stay out of your past. It's in the past for a reason. Don't go back to the past. Okay. These people are lacking education and knowledge. For a person to truly grow and become who they're going to be, you have to go back to the past to untie and understand certain situations and circumstances that can still be holding you back. When you can go back and you can untie those knots, you're released, and now you can move forward and you don't have those hindrances. That's exactly what I did. I went back to Katie Daycare because there were so many friends that I wouldn't know that I would carry for the next 40 years. Who would think it? You don't know to know. And that common bond was that we all had that understanding there's a way to treat each other. There's a way to treat each other. There were none of us that were rich. I mean, Latin America. So it didn't matter whether you had the newest shoes or the oldest shoes. We just wanted to have fun. We just wanted to play. We just wanted to be kids. And I think that that's gone now. A lot of that is old school. In my own personal opinion, if Lawton really wanted to stop being kind of a black eye of the state of Oklahoma, and I say black eye because whenever I've left Oklahoma or Lawton and I went to Oklahoma City, Tulsa, other states, I've been in other states, I met people from Oklahoma and they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, Lawton. And they're like, they grab their wallet. Oh, from Lawton. What's with the reaction? And they're like, Lawton's a rough town. No, it ain't. I grew up there. Got family and friends there. It's a great place. Well, when you get out and you travel around and you leave the state, things don't stop because you leave. They keep going. And Lawton's found themselves in the same place as many other small communities across the nation. Methamphetamines, heroin, kidnapping, trafficking. And I have to think, what happened? What happened? We all protected each other. When I went back into my past, I could clearly identify my soul tribe. Every one of us has got one if you really, really look at it. Now, it's not just, family and friends, aunts and uncles, complete strangers. Everybody's problem today is they're scared. Everybody is scared. What are you scared of? You afraid of dying? What can you do about it? Can you stop it? Do you know what's going to happen? No? Quit thinking about it. I met this woman on a date site, and I was ready to commit. I gave her absolutely everything that I've never given anybody else in my life. I had something to give at that point. I dealt with my past. I was coming into these opportunities. I was okay with growing and becoming who I was. I'd done enough work. I really wanted something. I saw it all the way through. And once I got that understanding, it was like, okay, now how can I use this to help other people. Easy. You take something that you're really, really good at, something that you love, something that brings you happiness and joy, and you figure out a way to share it. If everybody's doing that, don't we start filling gaps? I'm grateful that I was able to go to Katie Daycare and build those relationships. They still last today. We were tougher back then. We go outside and play until sundown, creeks, whatever. It was kind of like a pothead getting injured on the job. They're never going to report an injury. Why? Because of urinalysis and they're going to come up hot. So if you're down in the creek and you're playing with the kids and you get hurt, you can't immediately run back to mom and dad because then that's it. Everybody has to go in. Now you're all going to stop the show. You don't want to be that guy. Come on, Jerry, stop crying. I'm proud of the man that I am today. I am. I've built a pretty good specimen of a genuine individual. And I wish I could take all the credit, but I can't. And I can't give it all to my parents, or Katie Daycare, or my teachers. My family may or may not know this, but I have an issue with adopting families. Once Sarson started, I think when I was in the 7th grade, the year I went to the 7th grade. A lot of stuff happened back then that would shape my life, that whenever I kept going back, it was like, oh that, oh that, oh that. It was the summer before the 7th grade started, and they do the football practice. I'd grown up racing dirt bikes. I got it. It was exciting. It was really, really fast. It was really, really dangerous. I loved everything about it. But most of all, I was free on that bike. It was up to me whether I did this, that, or the other, but it was on me. I didn't have a team, in the moment to all pull together, but Dad was a mechanic. He was the driver. Mom made sandwiches, organized the trip, made sure we had gas and fuel and everything. And it was my brother and I's job to race, do the best we could in competing. I love competition to a certain extent, but sometimes when a rider would fall off, I would stop racing and help them. And my dad was like, oh my God, what are you doing? That's not the point. They have paramedics, they have people on the track to help them. We have some of those programs today for homeless people and people that are hungry, that need food stamps or assistance. And then we want to be mad at them for taking the assistance. Yes, there are those people that abuse, that take more than what they need. I get it. It's everywhere. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just saying that if you can give a kid that base and you can fill in the blanks, and parents can help other parents. I've been spanked by other parents before because when I would get into trouble, they understood as a parent. It didn't matter that I wasn't theirs, but you need to do right wherever you're at. If your dad was here, he would have done the same thing. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, I'm lucky it was just this. No, I don't want to get in trouble from my dad. Not that I'd get bad spankings, but it hurt my feelings too. So, yeah, forget that. There was a family, the Hill family. Going to practice, I was a little bitty guy. I probably weighed 75, 85 pounds. They put the pads on me, and it wasn't working out. That wasn't the hard part. But they come up with this drill where you run down and then you run head on into each other. Okay, not a problem. Well, they put me up against a center. And I think his last name was Everett, or first name was Everett. This guy was huge. 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 When we hit, he jerked the snot loose. I've wrecked a motorcycle, but apparently not that hard before because he got my attention. As soon as I shook it off, my brains rattled, I wanted to fight. The guy was like, wait till after practice. I've got time, I'll wait. Get in the locker room, he's got 6 of his buddies in there. I stirred me up a hornet's nest. It would be the first of many to come because, I'm slow thinking. It takes a little bit to realize what I was doing to cause the problems. If you always think that it's everybody else, then you're free. You're free of any responsibility. I get in there and these guys are getting ready to jump on me, and they've got a right to. And this little bitty muscled up guy, he looked like the ultimate warrior, but a kid. And man, he comes walking up there and goes, hey, back off of him. Leave him alone. He took up for me. Wasn't my brother, wasn't my dad. And so after football practice, I see him walking. I run up to him. I'm like, hey, thank you for that. I can't believe you took up for me. I said, hey, no big deal. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I guess I'm going to walk home. He goes, where do you live? And I'm like, way down that road. And he goes, well, you going to come over to my house and hang out a little bit? Yeah. Get over there. And it's a kid's paradise. These kids have a calendar and they have to do chores every day and they get paid for them. If you don't do your chores, you don't get paid. If you want to go to the movies, it costs money, do your chores, and then you get to go. Dad didn't want us a lot of places, because he didn't know the parents or whatever, but, and I overstepped my bounds. I should have checked with him first, had him meet the parents or whatever, but I didn't have that train of thought back then. I'm sitting in his house and he's got a computer and we're playing on it and football, like a swimming pool, and the door opens up and slams the front door. Well, where I was sitting, I couldn't see the front door. I was sitting in the living room. That'd be the first time that I met Virginia. She come around the corner and she looked at me. Who the hell are you? And what are you doing in my house? I froze. Oh my God, you're not allowed to have visitors? Am I gonna get in trouble? And I was like, my name's Jerry. She goes, where are you from? I was like, Lawton? She goes, yeah, I get it. Where you live? Down the road over there? All right, well, if you're gonna be in here with these kids making messes, you're getting on the chore list too. Okay. They have me doing chores with their kids. At the end of doing the chores, they're like, all right, I guess we'll take y'all to the movies now. You ready to go? And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take off. I'll see y'all later. Mom's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Where are you going? Well, I got to go home. Aren't y'all going to go to the movies? She says, well, you have to do the chores. You're not going to go with them? You mean I can go with them? Are you kidding me? Really? Well, yeah. Call my folks. They give a thumbs up and go to the movies. We make best friends. When you're wild and you don't have logic and you're really confused about a lot of stuff, you gravitate to anything. Anything. This family welcomed me in. Their dad, Michael, soft, smooth, easygoing, Marine vet, Semper Fi. We look at too many differences. Just because I was in the Army and this guy was in the Marines, we're not supposed to like each other to a certain degree. No, we're all on the same team fighting the same fight. Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting each other? That doesn't make any sense. Because there's work that needs to be done on the inside of us. And if we're not doing that work, then we can't deliver ourselves into a society as a whole. And we're constantly codependent, looking for that something, that validation, that confirmation. His family didn't have that. Parents were very well-to-do, very smart, very resourceful. And they were teaching their kids to be the same. After that first day, I didn't realize it, but those people would be a great part of my life. It didn't matter if it'd been 6 months since I'd seen them, 2 years, 3 years. When I would come into town, I would knock on that door and they were always happy to see me. Man, that was an amazing feeling. I wasn't out running the streets. I had responsible adults looking after me. I adopted 2 brothers, Kevin and Michael, and their sister Christine. And I was developing a soul tribe. And it's funny, if I wouldn't have went back to my past, I wouldn't have seen it like that. But people can focus just on the negative. Oh man, your life is so bad. I'm so sorry. That's so terrible. I feel sorry for you. Do not. Are you kidding me? You take that, feel sorry, put it in a bag, roll it up, and give it to somebody who needs it. I don't need that. I was blessed to have the life and the experiences that I've had. It's all a matter of perspective. It wasn't just that it was tough and confusing and it was a loss. It was each one of these people in my life. Buddy Hammond, coolest guy in school, easy. Dark hair, tall, muscled up, had a cool low truck, put in speakers. He was an artist. This guy could draw, he could paint. I didn't know at the time, but his grandfather was in construction, and that's what he would do on the weekends while I'm out going to the YMCA or going to a dirt bike race. He was working hard. He was learning a work ethic. He was making money. He was being responsible. And after high school, I actually got to hop on and work with him. I was fortunate to work with him and his grandfather, Sal. He's amazing. Whenever you speak of those who have passed, you speak well and stuff. I pray for those who have passed. And those are rock solid Soul Tribe members. It didn't matter how wild I was, the ridiculousness that I said, the crazy situations that I would put myself in. They accepted me and loved me anyway. Now I'm not a cup of tea for everybody. It's a very acquired taste, if you will. You have to have mountains of patience. You have to have lots of love to just sit back and be like, that's just who he is and how he is. He does him. And that was really good. You have to have some bit of freedom. But if you lock a dog in a cage and you keep it in a cage for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years, and then you let that dog out, the dog's going to go crazy. Never had that opportunity. There were never any rushes out of freedom. There was always discipline that went with it. That's how I got in the Army. I'm tired of my dad, all this rules and all this discipline, telling me what to do all the time. I'm out of here. I'm joining the Army. Talk about jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. But I did it. And I've had some amazing experiences. These Soul Tribe members that are family along the way, I still get to call them. I see them on Facebook. Go to their houses and visit them. If you've got a TV, you've seen way more than what I have. But now that I'm starting to come out of my developmental stage, I've done a lot of research and studying and building programs and projects. I locked myself away pretty much from the world so I could get this off the ground. My dad didn't have a lot of time to wait for me to become successful, so I was in a hurry. These people would just let me be. Is there anybody like that in your life? If not, find somebody. If not, be somebody that's that type of person. They taught me different forms of responsibility. Not one parent has all the answers. Not one parent. Now, as a collective, yeah. But you got to be careful. You don't want to develop mobs. This is the only way to go. This is the only way to go. Then we're all the same. It's no good. I don't understand why people have trouble accepting responsibility. When I realized if I would just surrender, just give up every notion and control, I can make my life this, I can make my life that. It's good to have drive. It's good to have a want to help people. But there's processes to everything. They didn't understand processes. How come we're not teaching that in school? All the stuff that I didn't learn in high school, I learned after school. And it's like, now if we could go back, put a Katie daycare before you actually get into school. Slow these kids down. Teach them breathing, teach them prayer. Whatever religion. I mean, I don't think religion has to be the staple of it, but by a breathing method, by connecting with themselves, by taking responsibility for their actions and who they are. How do you do that? Easy. There has to be a reward and there has to be a punishment. That's the way it is. That's balance. Everybody's complaining about being offended. This offends me and that offends me. You got to have good and bad. That's how it works. If this world is absolutely perfect, what are y'all going to do? They used to say in the panhandle of Oklahoma, if the wind wasn't blowing, we'd all fall down. I understand that. That makes complete and utter sense. Some people need that chaos. I thought I did. I was the world's worst at stirring it up. I grew up on T.J. Hooker, Starsky and Hutch, Chips, The Fall Guy, and it's like 18. I was a dreamer. Holy cow, I can be in those shows and do these things. Most of the people that I'm friends with, and a lot of them on Facebook, grew up with me, and they knew better earlier. Okay, that's not real, and they moved on. But I hung on to that part of my life, and that was it was tripping me up. If you're not focused and you're not based in reality, you gotta get grounded. Grounded. Yesterday I talked about a breathing method, a breathing technique, and then ask yourself questions. But on a regular basis, you take your socks and shoes off, go outside, stand in the dirt, close your eyes, and just be. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't have to be forever. It's called grounding. It's balancing out your emotions. If we understand that we have energy, we build up energy, we can pass energy. Energy is fluid. When we're happy and we go out into that world, people can attach energy to us and we can accept that. If you've ever been standing there talking to somebody one day and all they say is, my life is bad, my life is terrible, there's no good, there's no happy, it's just all bad. When you walk away from that conversation, you just picked up that energy, and now somebody says something to you and you jump at them kind of crazy and you don't know why. You didn't intend to be mean to them. You just felt that way. If you're constantly grounding, you're constantly in a breathing routine practice, morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, and night. When I started meditating, it wasn't just in the morning. It was morning, noon, and night, because I didn't want to go so long with a jacked up perspective or attitude that I couldn't correct it. So that helped me. If you ground yourself, if you chase after specific types of knowledge, be inquisitive. It helps. It's going to get you where you want to go.